How can you support an employee who was just given a terminal cancer diagnosis? It's a tough question. That was one that came up over the weekend, though. And I wanted to share a few thoughts about how an employer should consider this from a benefits perspective on today's Benefits Barbecue. First off, hi, my name is Dylan Melling. I'm a senior benefits strategist with Integrity Benefit Partners, where we help employers understand how the money game is hidden in the insurance world and help them design better employee benefit strategies that show love to their staff. And this is obviously a situation where if you're dealing with an employee who's been given a terminal diagnosis, they need love right now. And that love can look in a lot of different manners. The only one that I'm going to talk about today is just through that little benefits box, because you probably have some tools to help them out in these final days that you may or may not be aware of. So let's go through some of the most important considerations. First is we want to look at the life insurance policy that you probably have for your staff. Most employers have at a minimum a group life insurance policy that covers all staff while they're actively working. If you have one of those group policies, there may be an accelerated benefit that's baked into your life insurance policy where they can access some of the cash while they're still alive. Now, is it wise to spend off the cash now when that was maybe supposed to help the family long term? It may be, it may not be. I'm not here to make that determination on behalf of the employee, but you want to make sure that they're aware that that may be a thing, that if they've got a pool of an extra $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 sitting there liquid in cash that they can access while they're alive, that could do a lot for them. That may let them say, hey, I'm no longer worried about working for the last couple of months here. I'm just going to take the time off and be with my family. You want them to know they have that option if they are at that point in life. Second is beneficiaries. Make sure they have the opportunity while they're still fully cognizant and everything to update their beneficiaries. It doesn't matter if you just did open enrollment 2 weeks ago. Let's make sure they have the opportunity to review what's on file and update those elections for their life insurance, for if they have a critical illness policy, if they have a 401k with your company. Make sure, take this time right now, and even HSAs, take this time right now and let them update all that now instead of being surprised on the back end when it wasn't updated for the new life situation and what's actually happening here. One other thing to consider from a benefits perspective, and again, I want to stress there are so many other things your company wants to do, probably is doing to help this person, but we're just talking about benefits today. One other thing to consider is that you follow the flow chart correctly of when they should be considered an active employee, when they move to FMLA, and when they need to move to COBRA on your benefits package. Because what can happen, and unfortunately we've seen this more than once, is the employer is trying to do the right thing and the nice thing by helping the employee and just keeping them on the active employee list. And if their medical claims are not that big of a deal, that's fine. But if they are at a point where they're going to be racking up a lot of medical bills, which unfortunately a lot of people do in their final days, you want to make sure that there's nothing that the stop loss insurance contract that you have can come back to you and fight about it. So, for example, the employer says, well, I'm going to keep them on the active roster while they're on FMLA. Your contract probably is clear that that's a good move. That's probably something that is very clearly allowed while they're on FMLA. But they exhaust the 12 weeks of FMLA, and then they're looking onward, and the employer says, I'm just going to keep them on here because I know they're having a tough time. I don't want them to have to deal with COBRA paperwork. If your contract states, though, that you have to move them to COBRA when they've exhausted the FMLA, you need to be aware of that. And what that looks like on the back end, there are a lot of strategies we can talk about to help navigate that situation. But you've got to be aware of that, because if you don't move them over to COBRA, that gives the stop loss carrier an opportunity to make life more difficult than it really needs to be in this terrible situation. And you really don't want to deal with that just because you were trying to be nice on the front end. And now on the back end, you've got multiple parties arguing about how to handle $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in medical bills. So if you're not having conversations like this with your broker to help you understand how to show your employees love, then maybe it's time that we should chat. You can get a hold of me at 765-639-4398, or you can email me at Dylan, that's Dylan, at asimplerapproach.com. Until next time, talk to y'all later.